Morten.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this presentation on high-performing marketing teams. It seems really a great honor for me to spend the next hour or so with you. I hope the sound is good. If not, please let Hao know in the chat box and he will try to resolve the issue. All right, today's topic. First of all, I'll talk about two major capabilities, each having a strong impact on the skills and resources that are needed in business-to-business marketing today. Next, I will suggest 5 functional roles in a great team, followed by a couple of words about the role of the head of marketing. And finally, I will suggest a couple of strategies that might be useful for acquiring the team and the skills needed. But before we start, I think a couple of words about the state of business-to-business marketing of today is in place. I think we can safely say that we're in the golden era of business-to-business marketing. So what defines that? Well, in my view, it's 5 events taking place more or less within the same year or so, from 2006 to 2007. First of all, the technical capability to have internet everywhere, as 3G download speeds reached about 10 megabits in 2007. Next, we saw the launch of the first smartphone in 2007, which was the iPhone, of course. Third, Google acquired YouTube in 2006, and the same year also saw the launch of a free and very potent web analytics software called Google Analytics. It was actually a piece of software that Google bought from another company, as they do when they don't have the capability in-house. But nevertheless, Google Analytics is a major player in the world of digital marketing today. I read somewhere recently that it's estimated that around 80% of all the websites in the world are now using Google Analytics. So it's really an extremely powerful tool. I've been working with it myself for the last 10 years or so. And finally, also in 2006, LinkedIn reached about 20 million users, which is not, which is actually trivial compared to today. I think they have in excess of 330 million users today. So all these things combined really took place within the same 12, 14 months in 2006 and 7. And that leads me to the first capability driver, as I have decided to call it, which is really video marketing. And video marketing is a format with when it's done right, it's a format with actually 0 limitations. If you really think about it for a while, I've tried to just compile everything in one slide here. That anybody with a network device can view your video placed on free media across the globe, and they can contact you directly from within the video, while you measure with an almost infinite degree of detail the marketing ROI. And of course, I mean, this requires you to do it right with the proper tagging and the distribution and the promotion, and it also requires you to have the right analytics tools and the right video CMS tools. But it's nevertheless a really mind-boggling format. And to give you an example of the awesome power of video marketing, I've compiled a slide here with some interesting facts about the research that has taken place into the importance of video marketing. That really is worth noting is this. If you take the fact on the bottom of this slide, is the fact that nearly 17 minutes are spent every month by users watching video ads, not videos per se, but video ads. Also, the fact that according to Forbes, 75% of all executives watch work-related video ads every week. Also, according to Forrester Marketing in 2010, which is already all research by now, you achieve a 200% higher click-through rate in email marketing if you include video marketing in that email. So there's really not a lot of numbers flying around there, but it's it's nevertheless worth noting that video marketing is really powerful these days in business to business as well. And to give you another set of mind-boggling numbers, I went online to YouTube yesterday and I noted the latest stats from YouTube. And today, more than 1 billion unique users pay a visit to YouTube each month. If you take the last two facts, also the fact that Google has done a lot of work in localization. YouTube is available in 70 countries across 76 languages by now. And the final point, also worth noting, that mobile watching makes up for more than 50% of YouTube's global watch time. And we will have a webinar later on March 10 on video marketing in Markedu. But so you can join that if you want to learn more about video marketing. I have, however, brought along with me today one example of the mind-boggling power of video marketing. Now, this example comes from Denmark, so I'll translate this article to you. It reads that in this article from a Danish media, it describes how the CEO of a small Danish shipbreaker was called up one day by the Costa Concordia salvage operation in Italy after they had seen their video on YouTube. And in the words of this Danish CEO, they liked our video, although they did not understand our language. And they asked us if we would be interested in breaking up Costa Concordia. And if you, Carl, could launch this video, let's take a look at 30 seconds from this video. It's really a truly fun example.
Velkommen til Fornas her i Grenaa. Vi er et skibsophug, og det vil sige, at vi køber skibe, hugger dem op og sælger det udstyr, der ligesom kan genbruges. Med hensyn til indkøb af skibe, der har vi omkring 20-25 i løbet
All right, thank you. Now, of course, you don't understand what this office manager is saying, but she really just tries to describe the scope of their operation. And one of the things she says is that they're able to break up ships up to 100 meters of length. And so, you know, it's beyond any doubt that they were in no way capable of breaking up Costa Concordia. But I think it's a fun example because it shows the power of video marketing also in business-to-business buying behavior. There's a lot of stuff going around about business-to-business being a much more rational buying process, and to some extent true, but it's also true that a lot of initial search takes place on the internet. And in this particular example, it's really, for me, both a fun and mind-boggling example that such a big salvage operation called up this tiny company in Denmark. All right, but you know, if you're more interested in video marketing, we have a webinar on that particular topic on March 10. Moving on to capability driver number 2, interactive content. I think this is a really important capability driver when talking about high-performing marketing teams. Interactive content, as opposed to apps, do not require download. The user will always be able to access the latest version you've created. If you have a bug and a bug fix, you will be sure that any user using your content will have the latest version. Interactive content will display beautifully on all devices, if you do it right, of course. You can use it with or without login. For the user, it's really up to you. Interactive content will also allow you to deliver a sort of immediate what's in it for me value proposition or experience. Interactive content can be used by your sales force in customer meetings or at trade shows. And finally, interactive content will be able to deliver both lead data to you as well as aggregated data for your market and segment analysis purposes. And to give you a couple of examples of interactive content, I've created a list for you here. So let's go through them one by one. The first type of interactive content is quizzes. You would probably be amazed to learn how popular these types of things are, because even in business to business, it's a lot of fun for your prospects. If you do a quiz right, it will build awareness around your company, and you also have the option of capturing lead data for your company. It's really up to you whether you want people to take part of the quiz with or without login. In most cases, you probably need email address, of course. Next type of interactive content, excuse me, is product ROI calculators. I've done quite a few of these myself. They're real powerful for delivering a what's in it for me value proposition directly to the prospect on the screen, because that's really what most of the business-to-business buyers are for. In particular, if you have a fairly complex product with services surrounding it, bundled services. Product ROI calculators also allows you to pick up market and lead data to your company, so you can see what type of needs that your target audience have. Moving on to the third one is called a product configurator. Once again, this is really relevant in many business-to-business situations. You're able to display a customized product to the prospect. It can, as such, take your prospect closer to a sale. It can also, for you, it can deliver product development and lead data to you. So you can simply capture leads by a product configurator, and the aggregated data that your configurator will deliver can be used for market analysis and needs assessment. The fourth one is a bit similar to that, product guides. I've done one of those myself. If you have a very large number of products and in many different sort of configurations, you can make a simple tool guiding your prospect to the right solution. It will eliminate confusion and also take the prospect to a sale and deliver lead data to you. So that's product guides. Fifth example is a how-to guide, and that's a bit different from a product guide. It will eliminate confusion about the problem solving for which your product is for, and also in this respect take a prospect closer to a sale. A how-to guide could be, for instance, a research guide. I did one of those when I was working in life science, guiding people through excuse me, a very complex research phase or a research problem. So in that place, a how-to guide will eliminate some of the obstacles for buying your product in the first place. And finally, a type of interactive content which is hated a lot. I think surveys, they pop up everywhere. And so we're pretty fed up with surveys. I think nevertheless that they can be a very powerful type of content, as they can allow your prospects to voice their opinion, engage them in the product you're offering, maybe if you're launching a new website, etc. Most people like to be asked their opinion, particularly if they have some kind of tie to your company, some kind of connection to your company already. And I will present three types of interactive content to you, but we will most likely send out these to you after the webinar, so you can have a look for yourself. The first one is a research guide for scientists, which allows the company to capture the particular path that the user has chosen through that guide, and also making a PDF of that particular guide to the local server, so that he can the user after the guide has been fulfilled. So that's one example. Another example is a network business assessment tool made by the Copenhagen Business School, and a third one is a very neat interactive video made by a US company called Vidyard. But Huao will send these three links to you after the webinar. So these capability drivers, they have a strong impact on the types of skills and resources you need in your high-performing marketing department. I would say that most companies are organized according to these roles today, and which is fine, but I think it's probably not enough if you want to have a truly competitive marketing department. But before I give my take on that, let's just go through the types of skills you need in a truly competitive team. And it's really a mind-boggling list you need these days. You need a very, very extensive list, everything from hardcore left brain skills to hardcore right brain skills. You need marketing strategy and planning skills. You need Google Analytics skills, ROMI analysis, campaign tagging, video production, direction, filming. You need people skillful in content management systems, and that's across the board, both web systems, email systems, video systems, and social systems. You need somebody who's skilled copy and product and brand copywriter. You need the app development folks, people who are skilled in campaign tagging, multi-platform lead nurturing, digital art direction. I mean, the list just goes on and on and on and on. So it's really more exciting than ever to work in marketing, but also more demanding than ever. So so this is really moving on to my suggestion for a high-performing marketing department. Before we do that, however, I think I would like to ask you this question. If you could put on the survey, Xiao, I would like to ask you the question, what's the current performance of the marketing team in your company today? How would you describe it according to this list of skills that I just outlined? Give me your opinion here or your take on that. Are you in the build-up phase according to the list I just showed you? Do you have some of those skills in your team? Do you have most of these skills? Do you have all of them in your team? That would be great. So please cast your vote. Let's see how we're doing. All right. Okay, so 28% are in the build-up phase. 28% have some of the skills. 14% have most of these skills. That's really great. None of you have all the skills. It is, has to be said, it's quite unusual to have all the skills. So let's move on to my suggestion for a team. Now, according to me and the experience I've had the last 10 years, you really need to cover these 5 specialist roles to be truly competitive. If we start from the left, you first of all need a digital specialist. A digital comms specialist is the sort of interactive content creator. It has to be a person completely skilled in content management systems across web systems, email marketing systems, video systems like 23 Video or Vidyard, and also social distribution systems. So it has to be a person who's comfortable doing that. It also has to be a person who is fairly competent in user experience and interaction. This is a link to one of the capability drivers I just talked about, the interactive content driver. It also has to be a person who has some degree of intuition about digital art direction and creation. So it's primarily what I would call a left brainer, but it's also a person who has an intuitive sense of user behavior online. So this is a person who sort of dreams in RGB colors and thinks that CSS files are great fun. He's interested in different browser technologies and also sort of, you know, like cookies. So it's really your basic, really digital communications expert. The next person is a person that I have preferred to call a search specialist. This person will be in charge of both search engine optimization and search advertising, and also retargeting. Retargeting is a technique used a lot in business to consumer market, also to an increasing extent in business to business. This person is also an expert in digital analytics. As you can see, I've noted that, you know, Google Analytics is probably the most predominant platform for that. So it has to be a person who's able to do ROI analysis, split testing, conversion testing, and a person extremely competent in keyword analysis. So that's why, you know, I think the term search specialist is the most relevant one. Now, the third person is, in lack of a better term, is a content strategist. And this is a person who is more like a right-brainer, because this person need not be a numbers person. It has to be a great communicator, a great storyteller, able to mock up and produce graphic, animated, and written content across all platforms in a consistent way. So this is the type of person who really thinks content across all platforms, across all formats, across all channels in every market, which is relevant to the company. And I'll get back to how we find such a person in a moment. Really the main content creator in the company, in the marketing team, sorry. The fourth person is what I would prefer to call a media specialist. A media specialist is sort of a structured and metrics-loving person who understands equally well both paid, owned, and earned media. So this would be the person also responsible for social media, but it's not the type of person who is easily impressed by new fantastic social media or great deals. It's a type of person who wants to see the numbers, who wants to calculate the fit with the target. It's the kind of competence that most people would probably, if they don't have it in-house, would go to a media agency to look for. But the reason why I've chosen to put this person in the organization anyhow is due to the fact that the ability to really analyze all media across the board is crucial, because otherwise you tend to get lost in some fantastic new social media or some traditional media where industry website which is relevant to your company. It has to be a person who's able to look across the board, across all types of media. So it also has to be a person who's a tough negotiator, and in being able to evaluate those media, this person also has to have at least some competence in digital analytics, for instance, Google Analytics. Now, last but not least, which is probably not a big surprise, since video was the first part of my presentation today, I would really strongly recommend that you have a video specialist. Video is so important, and if you can acquire an expert in video storytelling, it would be great. This is the kind of person capable of directing all kinds of people, bringing products to life with both authenticity and persuasion. And it's also the kind of person who's able to do some hands-on editing, cutting, post-production work, overlays, applying music to, and then able to execute the video via your video content management system, because you need a video content management system. If you want to learn more about video content management, once again, I recommend you sign up for our webinar on March 10. So the final role here is of course the head of marketing or the CMO or the marketing director, whatever the title is. And the role of the CMO is really more demanding than ever, because first of all, this person needs to set direction through measurable goals and coherent strategy. Uh, that has always been the role of the CMO or the head of marketing. Secondly, I would really suggest that the head of marketing also needs to have a good practical knowledge of all the disciplines covered in the team. Not being an expert, but the CMO needs to have a good practical knowledge of all the disciplines. And why is that important? Well, it's according to my experience, if you don't know, if you don't have a sort of a good practical knowledge of all the disciplines and techniques and tactics used nowadays, you will never fully grasp the full strategic potential of all these disciplines. So you need to have a good sense of that. Third, you will have to be able to lead a very diverse team of left and right brainers. Some people are on one planet and some people are on the other. So it really requires you to have some good intuitive sense of leading very different people. And finally, and this is also a point that I think is worth noting, the CMO or the head of marketing has to be able to sell marketing within the organization at all times. And what do I mean by that? Well, we live in an era where we are actually able to document just about anything. So considering the capability drivers I talked about earlier, the video marketing tools and the interactive content you're able to create, you are really able to prove the marketing ROI at any time. So you have to be constantly, you have to sell marketing and the results you create within the organization, because this is the only way to ensure that your marketing budgets are safe and increase, and that marketing's importance in the organization is recognized. Um, um, Forrester published some research last year suggesting that 1 million sales reps would lose their jobs in the United States alone due to the digital enablement of the sales process. I showed you earlier the example with Costa Concordia, which is, extreme, but it nevertheless goes to show that all the digital content you create is in fact extremely crucial for selling the products in the company. So how on earth do you acquire such a team? Well, my first take on that is stop hiring business school graduates only. I myself is a business school graduate, so I can say this with some credibility. Instead, you will probably want to look for designers, journalists, IT developers, and video photographers. In my country, you can go to sort of dedicated schools to find these people. A journalist would be a good suggestion for the content strategist, for instance, a great storyteller. IT developers goes without saying, you need that for digital communications, and also a video photographer. So look for people coming from specialist schools or with a specialist background instead of business graduates. And secondly, I would really suggest that you invest heavily in competence building. It need not be a very sort of expensive training course. It could be a one-day course in video marketing, or one course in email marketing, or app development, because you really need to stay on top at all times, because otherwise you're lost. And I suggest that you really take part yourself, because once again, if you don't have a sort of solid understanding of these tactics, understand the full strategic potential of all the wonderful tools we have available to us these days. So that's really a crucial thing. And finally, if you still need this skill, if whether you can hire people in or not, you still need to cover these 5 roles, in my opinion. So you need to buy from freelancers what you cannot achieve in-house. And when I use the word freelancer, because in many cases you don't need to go to a traditional advertising agency. You can find really talented copywriters, of course, and also video photographers working as freelancers. And in this global economy, you can find people from all over the world easily. So that concludes my presentation for today. I hope it was useful. As I said earlier, Hua will send you the links of the 3 types of interactive content I suggested you could take a look at. Also, as said earlier, we have another webinar on video marketing on March 10, which you can sign up for if you want to know more about video marketing. If you want to follow me, you can check out my LinkedIn profile, where I've posted recently about the importance of marketing in 2016, and there you can hit follow if you want to follow me there, and you can also contact me for marketing consulting purposes. So that was a bit fast, I guess. I only spent 30 minutes, so if you have any questions, I will be happy to respond to that. If you have any questions in the chat box. We have one for Valeria. Profiles, digital communication specialist, content strategist, media specialist, video specialist, and oh, you missed search specialist, Valeria. That was the second profile. I can jump back to that if you want to have. So here's the full overview on this particular. So you have the digital specialist, the search specialist, working with both and SEM, meaning search engine optimization, primarily Google and Bing, of course, and then search engine marketing, meaning search engine advertising like Google AdWords, and also the ad program that Microsoft has on Bing. The content strategist, who is the storyteller for the company across all formats and all media, and the media specialist, focusing on that across earned, paid, and owned media, and the video specialist. We have some more questions. What about offline activities, events, PR? Julia, that is a good question. I would say that it really depends on how much offline you want to do. In my recent position, I did quite a lot of offline activities as well, 7 global events per year. So I know what you're talking about. It does require you to have a person handling that as well. In many ways, you can outsource that these days to freelance event specialists. It really depends on your business model. If you want to go all in on digital marketing, I would say you probably don't need that person as a full-time employee. You can hire people to take care of your event activities for you on a sort of freelance basis. Any other questions? Could you please spend some example of good marketing goals and how to measure those? We have a question here about good marketing goals. In my mind, marketing goals really come in 2 types of goals. One are goals related to your branding, meaning either unaided or aided awareness of your company and products. Secondly, the buying intention of your target audience. How many people in your target audience would consider buying from you today? So that would be branding goals. As to lead generation, you can really measure everything as conversion goals on your website. You can set up specific conversion goals in Google Analytics. A typical conversion goal would be the number of people asking to be contacted by a sales rep. if you have a landing page with a contact form, then a goal would be that I want XYZ amount of people actually completing that particular contact form asking for a sales rep to contact the prospect. So that would be a typical digital marketing goal. As to video marketing, and up for a March 10 webinar on that, because there I will describe 5 different marketing goals related specifically to video marketing, both encompassing branding goals and lead generation goals. So, so we will discuss that in more detail on March 10. All right. Any other question? Yeah. I don't think that's the case. I have one question. Okay, we have a question from Telma. I have a question. Nowadays, marketing is developing very much in the digital field because it can reach more people. But don't you think it can be too impersonal then that customers need also to rely on a person to buy some product and not only a machine? Well, it's a very relevant question, Selma. I think if we go back to some of the interactive content that I described earlier, you do have the option of making that extremely personal as well. If you take, for instance, some of these how-to guides and product ROI calculators, you are able to, for instance, insert the picture of the local sales rep after the prospect has gone through this piece of web content. So, for instance, if we take a research guide, once the prospect has completed the guide, he or she could be led to a page asking offering the possibility to be contacted by a local sales rep, and there you can easily insert the photo of your local sales rep and also the contact details. So you have all the possibilities in the world to add some personalization to your interactive concept. So I don't think that's a major problem. In the end, many business-to-business buyers, of course, would like to do a deal with a person. The point of these types of interactive content is that you can do a lot of needs assessment and a lot of the initial product guidance. You can do that online. Much better in many cases than most sales reps are able to do it. So one doesn't exclude the other. That would be my response to that. We have another question from Valeria. Do you think the content manager role can be held by a junior employee? Well, that depends on how you define a junior employee. I would say that in many cases, you need a senior person because it has to be a person having the experience to think across platforms, across channels, across formats. So you cannot, for instance, have one kind of message going out on a search engine ad, another slightly different message going out in a print piece or on a web page, and a third type of message going out in a video. So it really requires this person to be to have a holistic view of messaging, but also this person has to be sort of powerful within the team. Otherwise, he or she will not be able to make sure that the messaging takes care in a consistent way. We then have a question from Telma. What is ROI calculators? ROI calculators is a type of let me give you an example. I did one of those in the agricultural industry for farming, where farmers were able to key in their production data, the number of animals they had, the amount of feed they were feeding to those animals per day. And the company I worked for made a feed additive, which made the animals gain weight faster. So in this particular example, we were able to calculate for the farmers how much more meat this product would allow them to produce, given the fact that they bought our feed additive and used it for a while. So so uh, so that was pretty powerful because they could see, although they had to come up with an initial investment for this feed additive, actually the return on investment was more than 200% in many cases because the animals gained weight faster. And that's also the case with a lot of business to business companies. You have to be able to prove a value proposition to the prospect. The value of using your product has to be, of course, higher than the cost of acquiring it. Otherwise, you won't have any customers. So in that case, it's really a matter of proving that online with an ROI calculator. And the best way to do this is actually engaging your sales rep in the companies because they do that all the time. Otherwise, they can't be able. I mean, they won't be able to sell your products. So they're used to delivering this value proposition. It's only a matter of structuring it and putting it online and calculating it. All right. Are there any other questions? One from Ricardo. Besides technical skills, what human skills do you find best for a marketing individual or the CMO most try to find? Well, that's a fairly complex question. Of course, anybody working in a team has to be able to recognize the roles of the other persons in the team. Um, the reason why I've chosen these 5 functional roles is that I think that they have a pretty good fit with one another, and there's not a lot of overlap from one or the other. So I think that these 5 roles, if you find the right persons, they will work beautifully alongside each other. But human skills, collaborative spirit, they have to be able to collaborate. And also, you probably noticed that I used the term left brainer and right brainer because people are different. I mean, the content strategist will probably not be a numbers person. It will not be a technical person. So, in that respect, the content strategist will have to recognize that some of his or her colleagues are quite different. But I suggest, Ricardo, it's really probably a question you should ask a human resource person instead, because they are able to sort of identify the sort of right personas for working in a team like this. Yes. One follow-up answer to that, Ricardo. I think I've hired quite a few of these people. Sometimes I hired the right people, and sometimes I failed miserably. Sometimes it's also a matter of you trusting your gut feeling, your intuition. So it's really not easy. I have a question from Italy. If a company has only one person to market their product, what should be the main roles played by that individual? Yes. I would say content strategist, because you have to control your content. If you don't have control of the messaging going out to your target audiences, you don't have any control of your marketing. Then you can buy the the services of the digital comm specialist, the video person, and the media person. It is possible to buy it externally at a fairly high price, of course. All right, I think that we have maybe one more question from Wanda. 3 people. Okay. Well, once again, folks, I hope it was worthwhile attending, and have a great day, all of you, and please shoot me an email or follow me on LinkedIn if you have any additional questions. All right. Have a good day, all of you. Thanks.
Hello again, João Ribeiro here. So thank you so much for attending. I hope you have enjoyed this webinar. You will have a chance to give your feedback. We're sending out the survey that we kindly ask you to evaluate today's presentation content and also Morten's experience. And in that survey, you will also have access to these links that Morten promised, but we also send some other follow-up material. So you will receive this survey tomorrow morning. So we do ask you to fill it in because it does help us improve our web seminars formats and to understand your needs so that we can produce better products. So once again, thank you for attending and hope to see you on one of our upcoming webinars.